Welcome back, friends. It is the very end of February, the beginning of March. Still enjoying fires here, but the robins are out and spring is coming. One of my very favorite holidays of all, in fact, it's probably my most favorite holidays, is Easter. And this year, Easter is the last day of March, I believe, the last Sunday in March instead of being around April 6th like it usually is. And so this year I am working on a recipe for Easter. It's called hot cross buns. If you haven't heard of them, there's a nursery rhyme named after hot cross buns. But it is a traditional Easter sweet bread, and I am making mine sourdough and incorporating craisins and orange zest and then an orange glaze on top. And I am just going to take you along with me as I do that. And a little bit of homemaking. So this recipe is really simple, but it does take some time. So it takes probably close to 12 hours from start to finish because it is sourdough and it has a lot of other components in the dough, which slows down the fermentation process, and so you've got to let it sit out a little bit longer to get it to rise well. But the ingredients are a cup of active sourdough starter, 3.5 cups of flour, that's bread flour, a half a cup of sugar in the dough, 1.5 cups of warm milk, no water, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of allspice, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 cups of dried cranberries, the zest of 1 or 2 oranges. I did 2. You can do 1. I really like the citrus flavor. About 1/4 cup of unsalted or salted butter, melted, 1 egg at room temperature. And then for the crosses that we make at the top, it's actually just 6 tablespoons of water with a half a cup of flour. And then we pipe that over the top after the dough has risen and after the rolls have risen, and let that bake. Actually, let it rise again and then let it bake. And then we're going to make an orange glaze to go on top. So I have mixed my wet ingredients in the smaller bowl, my dry ingredients in the bigger bowl, and I've got my orange zest in with the sourdough starter and the milk and the egg in the small bowl, and I'm just dividing the cranberries, dried cranberries, into both of those bowls, and then give those a good stir, and then I'm going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients and start kneading the bread. Usually when I make sourdough bread, I just at this point cover it with a clean towel and let it start to autolyse and ferment. But with this dough, I am going to actually knead it for about 10 minutes until it's nice and elastic and smooth. The dough is nice and smooth, and then I will let it bulk ferment for 9 hours until that you can see that has risen. And then after letting that rise, I'm going to shape them into 12 different rolls and let them rise again for another 3 hours. But actually, I started this recipe on Friday and ended it on Saturday, so I actually put them in the refrigerator after they were in roll shapes overnight, and then had to let them come back up to room temperature and then let them rise. So it actually took me a lot longer because I made it a 2-day process instead of a 1-day process. So just letting this bulk ferment for about 9 hours, and you want it to rise until you can see that it's nice and puffy before you turn it into rolls. Just refilling my flour and my sugar, working in the pantry here. And this is one of my favorite rooms in the house, but it does get pretty messy and I use my flour and sugar a lot. I am so excited for Easter this year. I have some fun things planned. I usually do dyed eggs. This year we have, probably about 8 chickens, and we're getting like 6 eggs a day. So I'm just letting those build up in the refrigerator, and super excited. They're brown and green, but they'll make really pretty Easter eggs. I also ordered an Easter egg lathe, and it just spins the boiled Easter eggs so that you can decorate them with markers instead of dye. The kids will have a lot of fun with that. Easter is my favorite holiday though, and it's because without Easter, there would be no Christmas. And actually, probably the main reason why I love Easter so much is because when I was 16 years old, my older sister, who is 1 year older than me, she died 3 days before her 18th birthday. She was 17 years old, and she was in a car accident with a bunch of her friends. And she was thrown from the vehicle because she didn't have her seatbelt on. And her best friend, she was riding on his lap. Anyways, he wasn't buckled either. And they both flew out of the car, were ejected, and they both died on the scene. And so that was really traumatic for me. Probably the most influential thing in my life, but really made me appreciate the meaning of Easter more than anything else. And so that is probably the main reason why, for me, Easter is the best holiday. I remember it was the night before Easter, after my sister had died, and I was thinking, like, the whole getting closer to Easter, I kept thinking, like, is it true? Is everything I've learned at church true? Like, is Jesus, I believe in Jesus Christ, that he was a person, that he came, that he was God's son, but are we really going to be resurrected? Is that really true? I know maybe he's God and he could resurrect himself, but is he really will we really be resurrected? Will my sister really be resurrected? Will we really be forgiven of our sins? And to me, it was just like, I needed to know these answers. And so I actually prayed about it that night and woke up the next morning. And I lived in the Mojave Desert of Southern California, where it does not rain or snow ever. And by April in the Mojave Desert, it is hot and the sun is out and it is just never cold. Well, that Easter morning I woke up and the sun was just super bright outside my window. And so I opened the blinds, and the whole Mojave Desert was just covered in white. Probably like 4 inches of snow had fallen. And I just had the thought, like, I am a God of miracles. Like, God is a God of miracles. And if he can make it snow in April in the Mojave Desert, he can do anything. And I just felt like that was a special witness to me, that Easter, the real meaning of Easter, Christ's atonement and resurrection, is real for him and for all of us. So that is why Easter is so special to me. And I really want to make it special for my family so that they feel that and can gain that testimony for themselves without having to suffer the way that I did. So the crosses on these hot cross buns are made with just 6 tablespoons of water and a half a cup of flour, and you just pipe that on. It needs to be able to go through the pipe, but it has to be thick, and it's just going to hold its shape. It doesn't add anything tasty to the bun, but it holds its shape as a cross on top, and that cross is representative of Jesus Christ's death and crucifixion. And so I just love these, and I'm so excited to incorporate these into our Easter traditions. So before I started piping these, I did preheat my oven to 350 degrees and get that nice and hot before these go into the oven. They actually only cook for about 30 minutes until they're golden brown on top, so not very long. And this is them before they go into the oven, and then I'll show you what they look like when they come out. And then I will make a glaze, an orange glaze, which I am making with 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and 1 tablespoon of orange juice or orange juice concentrate. And I just mix that together in a little tiny mason jar, and I will spread that over the hot buns right after they come out of the oven. And, you know, these buns are sweet from only a half a cup of sugar in the dough. And they're sweetened also by the cinnamon, the allspice, and the craisins or the dried cranberries that you put in there. And then this glaze on top is just, so they're sweet rolls, but they're not too sweet. And they're really nice. You serve them warm. We ate them hot. They're actually better when they're warm instead of hot. So let them cool off for a few minutes and then enjoy them. These would be great with a cup of tea or a bowl of hot soup. The kids were really anticipating these because the spices and the cranberries make the whole house smell really good, and the orange zest that's in there. So they really were looking forward to eating these. So we didn't wait very long before I dished them out. But I hope you guys give these a try. I hope that you guys enjoy this Easter season as much as we will. Make it special for your family. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. As always, thank you so much for watching my video, and we'll see you next time.